for many people, kind of the basketball world, if you will, to regard the last man standing, the superstar on the team that wins it, as the best player in the world. Now, people don't get crazy. If Jimmy Butler had led Miami past the Lakers last year, no one would have said he's the best player in the world. Mm-hmm. But if you're already in the discussion, if you're already top 5 in the world or something like that, and you win a title, people want to give it up to you. Mm-hmm. We saw it with Kevin Durant when he won his 2 rings in Golden State. Some people were saying that. We saw it with Kawhi Leonard when he beat Golden State in Toronto, albeit a lot of injuries for Golden State. And we saw it again with LeBron last year. It was that just proof positive that this guy's the best player in the world. I want to say this. If the Milwaukee Bucks win it, and Giannis is certainly in the class of all those guys I just mentioned, mm-hmm. If the Milwaukee Bucks win this championship, which they should be favored to do right now, I don't believe Giannis will be regarded as the best player in the world. You disagree, sounds like.
I'm trying to think of who would be considered to be better at this point than a back-to-back.
I think Kevin Durant, and I still think a lot of people say LeBron James. Like, I don't think anybody's grabbed the bull by the horns. Like, this was the postseason where it was there for the taking. LeBron's out in the first round. He got injured. AD was injured.
There's the qualifier. There's my guy. There he is.
It's called
there he is.
It's called facts, all right?
Did he play in all the games, Chris Broussard?
Yes.
Yes.
And here's what I look.
That's what sports is all about, man. You got to be able to play through the qualifiers. You got to be able to win.
Father Time has tapped LeBron on the shoulder.
He's not the greatest in the world anymore. He wasn't the greatest on his team.
He can't carry you, me, Rob G, and DJ Alex Teicher to the playoffs anymore. I'll tell you that. He used to be able to do that in his prime. He can't do that anymore. But, so just because he's not quite as good as he was, does that still mean he's not the best player in the world? There was a nice little gap there. Because Kevin Durant, they're done.
There was a nice gap. I think that we have to be careful in how we categorize our players. And when I say our players, I mean, I don't want to diminish anybody's greatness first and foremost. I think they're all brilliant players,
Absolutely.
Right? But you got to look at it. It's like superheroes. It's like, all right, Batman doesn't have any real superpowers. He's just dope with all of the gadgets and the gizmos that, him and his crew come up with, right? But that's his strength is being able to do it that way. Same with Iron Man, right? He doesn't have any real superhero powers, but they make a suit for him that give him superhero powers. But then you have guys like Spider-Man. Then you have guys like Superman. Then you have guys like Aquaman and all these different people, right? And they do have superpowers. And here's my thing, and this is the point that I'm making, is that we got to categorize what these type of superheroes are. Some of them do certain things better than others. And when I look at KD is one of the most prolific scorers of all time.
Absolutely.
And I think that if you're going to say greatest of something all time with KD, it's greatest scorer of all time in the conversation of greatest scorer of all time. When I look at LeBron James, I say LeBron James falls in the category of greatest player of all time. There's nothing wrong with them being in those categories and not still being at that level of player. And you mentioned it, there was a gap for a time with LeBron James and the rest of everyone else. But make no mistake about it, LeBron James has been playing in the league the last three years, and in the last 3 years, we've seen Giannis get 2 MVPs. We've not even seen MJ get 2 MVPs. The best
player. MVP doesn't mean Steve Nash was never the best player in the world, and everybody knew it.
He was the best player that year. He got MVP and was. You're the best player.
Dirk wasn't the best player when he won it.
I think for the moment you are. See, now there's another qualifier, right? So it's like is he the best player in the world at that moment in time, or is he the best player in the world, period?
You had the best season, but you're
That's
not
correct.
the best
You
player.
were the best player in the world for a season. Come on, Chris.
I don't think anybody
You're going to diminish the award.
Himself,
you're going to diminish the award.
No.
Right here on national radio, you're going to diminish the NBA
it is not,
MVP award.
I'm a voter. I've been a voter for a quarter century. No, it does not just who's the best player in the league. It's not
at the moment in time that so Jokic was not the best player.
Michael Jordan only won 5 MVP awards. Are you going to tell me that those other 10? Well, let's take out the 2 in Washington.
Let's look at Charles Barkley's year.
The other 8 years he played, really the other 6 healthy years he played, that he wasn't the best player in the world in at least 3 or 4 of them.
He is So the point that I'm making is that if you get the award, and I get it, like, okay, we can't give the award to the same person every single year. But how do you qualify a guy getting it 2 times in a row? Like, to me, look, when you vote, there's no set criteria. So a lot of guys have different views. Some guys, it's the best player on the best team. Some guys, it's, who they think is the best player. Some guys, it's who was literally most valuable to his team. I try to take all of that into consideration. I look at your team's record. I look at your individual statistics. I look at what they did without you. I look at your supporting cast. So a lot of times the best players, Shaq and Kobe combined for 2 MVPs. Combined. Correct.
They deserve more, but they canceled
Did we ever
each other
say
out.
that
So
Shaq was the great? Did we ever say that Shaq was the greatest player on the planet?
Yes.
Did we ever say that Kobe was the
three-peat.
greatest player on the planet?
Yes. During the 3-peat, when Shaq and Kobe won 3 straight, there were many believing Shaq was the most dominant, best player in the world.
Over Kobe.
Yeah.
Over Michael Jordan.
First couple years,
over Michael Jordan.
Well, Jordan was out by that. Jordan had retired, and then he was, played for Washington as an old man. So
he was still right. He was in Washington when he
retired, for a few years, then came back as a 38, 39, 40-year-old. So by that point, nobody was looking at Jordan as the best player in the world.
We're splitting hairs here, and I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to say this.
On Giannis.
If Giannis is to win this championship this year, and he gets MVP of the series, he is considered, in my book, in my estimation, the best basketball player in the world for now. For now.
Well,
and
what does for now mean? For
now means we won't ever think that Buster Douglas was a greater boxer or fighter than Mike Tyson. But for the moment in time that he knocked Mike Tyson's, this is Worship Wednesday, so I won't say the word that goes with that. When he knocked him out, right, and he won that title, who everybody had to bow down as the heavyweight champion of the world.
Hold on, but there's other things. Like, a lot of people blame Tyson for that loss. I know Buster Douglas fought the fight of his life. But a lot of people looked at Tyson, he wouldn't train.
That's
he
a
took
qualifier.
Him lightly.
That's
he
a qualifier.
No, but it's true. Sometimes these are facts.
It's not a truth when the fact of the matter is.
Injuries happen. That's not a qualifier.
It's
That's
a
fact.
qualifier. Here's why it's a qualifier. Because against all odds, if you're going to be the best, then you have to get the results that go with being the best. Listen, I'm a Hall of Famer in the National Football League if I don't get hurt. Right? Okay.
Right.
But I'm not going to the Hall of Fame because I got hurt. So
but you would say that's a qualifier. No, that's just a fact. You got hurt. That's not your fault.
That's not
diminishing,
It does diminish. It does diminish the people that had to figure it out and make it to the Hall of Fame, is what I'm saying. So for every person that had to overcome an injury, I wasn't able to overcome the injuries. I wasn't able to play at a high level for long enough to be considered a Hall of Famer in the National Football League. That's not a qualifier. That is the facts. But the bottom line is that I still, in my expectation, there are guys in the Hall of Fame that weren't better football players than me. They weren't, not even close in my estimation. But the bottom line is they did what they needed to do for longer and got the accolades and got to the point of where they're recognized that way. It's the same exact thing.
I get all that.
So even if I don't intimately and emotionally look at a player as being better than LeBron or being better than Kevin Durant, the bottom line is the results still have to matter and the results still have to count. If that man goes to the finals and gets an NBA championship and an NBA Finals MVP, he is considered to be the best player on the planet for now.
Stop it.
He's holding the belts.
What if
He's holding the belts.
What if Chris Middleton's Finals MVP?
Yeah,
is he the best player in the world?
I think there's some things that are worth not debating. And he's not. If anybody but Giannis were to get it.
See, I'm going to give you why.
If anybody but Giannis were to get it, it's not a debate.
Okay, I'm glad you went there. Okay, but I'm going to give you why I don't think it's Giannis or will be Giannis.
Go ahead.
Because he doesn't close games. And I get it. Everybody's not Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant in terms of closing games. That's fine.
LeBron hasn't been a game closer.
LeBron has hit more game winners in the playoffs than Kobe and Michael Jordan combined. More buzzer beaters.
There have been times where LeBron James has not been a closer.
No,
in
but
playoff games.
He doesn't run from closing. He's not incapable of closing.
He's not. That.
Yeah, but I don't think they can stand because he passed to Kyle Korver. Well, Michael Jordan passed to John Paxson,
and they made it.
That's the only difference. But here's my point about Giannis.
That's a big difference.
Giannis cannot. If Giannis, you saw what he did at the end of the game against Kevin Durant in Game 7.
Yes.
He took him in the post, backed him down, and went to the jump hook to tie it with 1:11 left. Yes. That should be Giannis's go-to move. Stop the 17-footer. Stop the three-point. I mean, you can do it here and there. But when it's gut check time and you need a bucket, Giannis can be a go-to guy, but that should be his move. I'm on the block. I don't mean become Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We don't want you on the block all the time because you can do a lot of other things. But when you need a bucket, you go down to that block or you bring somebody down to that block. You back them down. You throw up a nice little jump hook. Don't do the turnaround toward the baseline, turnaround, Jay, that you tried on James Harden or that you tried at the end of regulation and hit the top of the shot clock. That's what, if Giannis would do that as his go-to move, then I'd give it to him. But as long as he's going to continue to not play to his strengths inside when the situation calls for it, I can't give it to you.
And listen, you're the expert, and I'll respect where you're coming from with your thought process on this. But just as a lowly, washed up former, player in the pros, all I'm saying is from my vantage point, if a guy proves that even for a season he's the best, then he's the best at that moment in time. Now, if we are categorizing and saying best of all time, no, I would not say that Giannis is the best of all time if he wins the finals and wins the MVP.
I would ask you though, it should be over a few years. And it doesn't mean you have to win it every year. But what if Giannis wins 2 out of 3 and he's just killing? That's different.
Giannis
but just
is
1
leading
year,
the team in scoring.
Was
in all their
Dirk the
wins.
best player in the world when they beat Miami in 2011? He beat 3 superstars. Was he the best player in the world?
That at that moment in time, yes, and he proved it by winning a championship.
But that can mean any. If I use the qualifier to use your word,
anybody.
Any moment in time. Okay.
It can't just be anybody, because if you think about it, if it's just anybody, then Chuck has a championship ring. There have been some of the greatest players, period. Karl Malone, John Stockton, Pat Ewing, right. There have been some of the greatest players of all time that do not have a championship to their name. So that's not, to me, I don't look at it that way. I say,
but if you're that high caliber player and you win it, you give him the ring for that year or the crown for
I
for
do.
that
I mean,
upcoming
because
year. Okay.
like I said, if I could give the best example, it would be in boxing. Like, just because you're if you're holding the belt, if you lost that belt when you were holding that belt, you were considered to be the greatest at what you're doing, and that's the achievement. You expect somebody who is the greatest to do what? Win it all. That's what you expect. That's where your greatness is measured and weighed the most. Like, we can sit here and debate Tom Brady isn't the greatest quarterback of all time. But I would fight that, and I would argue that, and I would say there's no way you can say he's not the greatest football player of all time.
Right.